What up, though? It's Lady Vet here with the recap of Bmf Season 3, Episode 9. Meech and Terry traveled to Miami to meet with Francois. A young Meech and Terry compared themselves to Scarface's Tony Montana, a young man starting with nothing, but after seeing another part of the world, develops a dream of making the world his. Finally getting their chance to replicate the ideas of Tony Montana, the Flannery brothers arrive in Miami to soak up sun and fun. Oh wait, that's not their story. They came to continue their own dream of making the world theirs. That came with risks, so they wanted to eliminate the risk of their guys getting caught riding dirty, especially when it comes to Atlanta's Red Dogs. Meech wants to safely move weight around Ohio, Atlanta, St. Louis, and Detroit, just to name a few. Meech finds it hard to talk to T when he sees Markeisha approach them. Clearly, they have no love for each other. Meech nicknamed her a sack chaser. All that aside, T admired Markeisha's Miami look so much that he put baby oil on her, and he wanted her to have whatever she wanted. Meech, T, and Mac Attack met up at Club Foxy to talk about Francois and getting him to work for them. At first, T thought that Francois was egotistic. Meech said that he worked well with all personalities. Just as T began to say that they work well with all personalities, he asked, what was Angel doing there? T asked Meech if he knew, but Meech said that they were there because of Mac. Mac wanted them to visit the famous club in Miami. During the conversation, they noticed the MKs have front row seats. But not for long. Meech wanted to confront them with a demo, but T said nah, because the MKs were strapped. And since they were plugged in with club security, Meech and Terry knew that they were in a death trap and had to go. As usual, T is annoyed with Meech and asked him if he knew that Angel was riding with the MKs. T accused Meech of once again setting a meeting behind enemy lines without warning him, just like in Atlanta. Bryant is still suffering from the loss of his son when Jen comes over to keep him on track. Jen asked about his knuckles, and Bryant told Jen what happened to Tyson. Jen tried to chastise Bryant for his actions, but he reminded her that she wanted transparency. Bryant placed Tyson in a strategic spot and knew that Henry would lose her mind. Jen wanted to put a wire on Henry. T admires how good Markeisha is looking when she tells him that she's ready to go to the Tropicana market. Somehow, Markeisha is under the impression that she and T are on a couple's vacation. T tried telling her that it's not safe for them to be there and that he wants her to stay on their resort grounds. Markeisha heard what T said, but was on some other stuff about knowing how to handle herself and her business. She told T that she was not ruining her vacation because of him. On her way out, she walked past Meech with a sigh of irritation. Meech cared less because he had Francois' address and was ready to get to work. Meech explained that Mac had to leave, so they were on their own with Francois. Not easy because Francois was upset that they had missed the original meet. Well, they did not want to tell him about the MKs. Terry told Meech that he's left to do the talking when Meech checked him with the reminder that he's the face of the organization. Meech then gets a call from Javier, telling him to pick up. Javier is intense when he tells Meech that Loco only trusts one pilot, who happens to be busy, so get your stuff. Meech is looking crazy and T is going crazy at the thought of having to drive their weight themselves from Miami to Atlanta. Meech made light of the situation, but T saw a sense of urgency and the need to get the cars trapped and clear the Red Dogs off of them. Glock was at the memorial for Shaka when he learned that Mitch was in Miami. Glock believed that the only favor left to give Shaka was revenge. He declared revenge among the brothers. Angel was with Glock and walked across the room when Glock asked for men to search for Meech and Terry. When asked who is Angel, Glock called her a businesswoman who will align herself with whoever serves her needs, and that they would follow the snake to the swamp. Remy thought that the indictments of the MKs freed him for Techwood, so now he wanted to deal with Meech, but Meech had pure weight. Remy only cared that Meech was an outsider and he wanted it to stay that way. Remy wanted eyes and ears out on Meech. Remy wanted Meech to have a hard time in Atlanta. He wanted Meech gone. Charles practiced his music with the Campbell brothers overhearing and wanting Charles to go on tour with them. The offer was exciting to Charles, and he would get paid. Charles was even more excited when they told him more about the tour, more about working, more about also having fun times in various cities. Meech and Terry finally got with Francois in what appeared to be an art gallery. Francois greeted them with sarcasm because he did not like being stood up by them. Meech led the conversation with Francois's work on Mac's ride. Francois was not moved by Meech's words. Terry took over the conversation with questions about Francois's sculpture, which got his attention, but he still was on one about being stood up. Terry offered a deposit and a promise for the rest of the money the next day. Meech reminded Terry that the goal is tricking the car, not home decorations. T bought them some time to get a surprise to win Francois over to their side. Charles couldn't wait to share the tour news with Lucille when they were joined by Nicole. Lucille was proud of Charles and truly believed that he earned it, but she didn't want to leave Nicole home alone for 6 weeks. Nicole was fine with it though. When Nicole chimed in the conversation, Lucille sent her upstairs. Poor Nicole. Charles wanted to spend more time together with Lucille, but when she didn't seem interested in going on tour with Charles, he blamed it on Maurice. Lucille pointed to Charles, his talents and his love for music, shining through, and a lifetime opportunity that awaited him. Angel was on the move when she noticed Glock following her. She ditched him by leading him straight to a local dance studio. Phew! Angel just dodged a Glock bullet. At the gambling spot, Henry tells her uncle that she can't reach Tyson, but Jen distracts her in her attempt to plant the wire on Henry. Henry also tells Unc that the Chaldeans cut her off and that T is their new supplier. Jen was flirting with Henry when she noticed some of law enforcement kicking it with Blaze. Again, Jen grabbed Henry to avoid being noticed. She and Henry left. Jen and Henry went to Henry's place. Jen is anxious to put a wire on Henry. She told Henry that she is a line cook and grew up in diners. Henry asked about the rest of Jen's family, but Jen wanted a drink before sharing more lies. So as Henry made their drinks, Jen thought to plant the wire on Henry's cane. Jen was successful, and so was Henry. The problem for Jen is that Henry's success means absolutely nothing to her when she finds out that Jen is tricking her. Henrietta may go at Jen's dad to teach her a lesson. We will see. Angel met Meech on the beach, telling him that she is scared and that Glock was following her. She let Meech know that she can't go back. Meech got in his feelings, and so did Angel. They were back together, at least for now. Terry asked Meech what's up with Angel when Meech and Angel entered his room. Meech explained that the MKs were following her. Meech told Markeisha that she and Angel were to stay put and not go anywhere. Markeisha told Meech that she doesn't take orders from him. Meech told her that if she wanted to see her kids again, she will listen. Meech gave Angel a strap, and Markeisha asked T if he had a strap for her. T asked Markeisha to listen, but she told T that she knows how to handle hers. Markeisha was very unhappy, and it showed. Back at Francois's place, T gave him the rest of the money that he promised and began to quote Tony Montana. When Francois completed the quote, breaking the ice between them, they shared laughs. Meech asked about Francois's next move since he saw a lot of his stuff packed. Meech offered him a job in Atlanta. Francois looked at Meech with doubt until T told him to open his garage. Hoop drove a new Porsche in for Francois, compliments of the Flannerys. Then Duffy, Tina, Spider, and Worm drove in with a couple of other cars for the work. T sent Hoop back to Detroit, while Spider and Worm stayed in Miami. Meech thanked T for coming through with a plan and told him that he would stay with Duffy and unload the work, and they were sleeping with it also, at least until it's in the safe. After the introductions, Francois seemed impressed with the family dynamics and how well oiled the machine seemed to run. Lucille has again put herself in an uncomfortable position with Maurice. You see, I thought that Lucille was waiting to hear from the Lord. She appeared despondent over dinner, although she showed up for dinner. There are so many mixed signals that Lucille is sending to Maurice. Lucille watched Maurice put a hotel key in front of her and asked her, "What's up?" Lucille took Maurice's challenge to go into the hotel room, allow the man to get hot and bothered, and put her back against the wall. Then there's the sound of the brakes, scaring the man into thinking that he did something wrong. Lucille gathered herself and left Maurice in the room alone. Get it together, Lucille. Get it together. While Mama Lucille was kissing Dr. Maurice in the hotel room, her daughter Nicole was kissing Breeze in her bedroom. Well, until they heard the sound of Charles's voice. By the time Charles made it to Nicole's room, Breeze hid behind the door, probably pissing himself, and Nicole claimed to be indulged in homework. Once Charles realized that Lucille was out with Maurice, he took Nicole out for dinner. Breeze exited through the bedroom window. At the mechanic's place, Francois explains to T that he will need a couple of days while talking about what the job entailed. T followed along as if he was on the job training. Francois explained that the work was unique to the owner. Then Meech and Duffy pulled in with the weight, telling Francois to take a break and T to help them unload the Colombian coffee. Jen and Bryant listened to the wire on Henry, but Jen told him that whatever they got on the wire will not be admissible because they are not cops. Bryant told her that sometimes you meet the bad guys where they are. Jen told him that she wanted her badge back. Charles and Nicole enjoyed daddy-daughter time. Charles mentioned that he was proud of how Nicole improved her grades. She attributed it to Breeze. Nicole spoke highly of Breeze and what makes her like him. She told Charles that Breeze is her boyfriend. Charles asked Nicole to enjoy her life, but not to rush it. Nicole told Charles that she knows what she's doing and that she will not let anyone hurt her the way that he did her mom. Nicole attempted to tell Charles that she didn't mean what she said, but he understood and said, "Yes, you did." Then he asked her to dance. Francois completed his work and was ready for show and tell. He offered the honors to T as the master demonstrator. Terry showed Meech, Duffy, and Tina how to operate the safe. He had their undivided attention, and all were impressed. Meech wanted to know what about finding the safe. Francois said with confidence that you would need a chainsaw sharp enough to cut metal, strong enough to split the vehicle in half. Meech gave props to T and let him know how impressed he was with the outcome. Meech believed that they had the blueprint now for the rest of their lives. Claude's replacement hopped in the ride with Remy to tell him about Meech's run-in with the MKs in Miami. Remy wondered why Meech risked going behind enemy lines. Apparently, a couple of guys saw Duffy driving vans out of Atlanta. Remy vowed not to let any more outsiders in his city. Blaze was brought in to identify Tyson's body. Blaze's law enforcement buddy asked, how did he want him to handle the investigation? Blaze told him that he will handle it himself. Henry comes in to Tyson and became enraged. Henry's uncle Rufus was told that Tyson was found in a dumpster around the corner from Terry's restaurant. Henry vowed to kill T against her dad's warning. Bryant set up T. Jen and Bryant listened to Henry and Blaze on the wire. Blaze told Henry that Terry retaliated because of her. Jen and Bryant learned that Gar was with Blaze. Bryant told Jen that this is bigger than them. Bryant suggested that they follow Henry while she and T shoot it out, then get Kobe's dad to get whoever is left standing. Markeisha and Angel are not talking to each other as they wait for the Flannery brothers. T enters without Meech, but tells Angel that he is next door. Angel left to meet Meech, and Markeisha complained of sitting and waiting for 2 days. Terry was tired, but took time to explain that they were guarding their weight while the mechanic worked. Markeisha told T that the bosses don't drive their own weight. She started again to talk about T listening to Meech. Terry told her that he was working hard since they landed in Miami and trying to make sure that she was comfortable and whipping up extra work at home just to provide for her needs. They argued about Vince, and T said that they would finish the conversation at home. Markeisha told T that the only thing waiting for him at home is LaWanda and her milk-stained bras. Meech and Angel were in the hotel lobby waiting for T when he finally joined them. Meech asked about Markeisha and couldn't hide his excitement when he knew that she was gone. He commented, "Trouble in paradise, huh?" Terry told him to F off. As they attempted to leave the hotel, they were met by Glock and the MKs. Glock told his guys to search for Meech, but then they spotted him. There was gunfire everywhere, so much so that Glock's men shot him. Meech got away from the MKs, but they were on his tail, and they wanted him more than ever since Glock was shot. Meech went to Francois' garage and told everyone to get in their cars because the MKs were coming. They were right behind him. He told Francois, if he wanted to live, get in the car and follow them. Meech acted as a decoy in his car, and the MKs were closing in. Meanwhile, everyone else convoyed in the opposite direction. Charles came to Lucille for a response about joining him on the Campbell Brothers' tour. Lucille said that it sounded like Charles wanted her permission and that's not needed from her. Lucille told Charles that she thinks that she is in love with Maurice. Charles asked her if she was giving up on them, but Lucille saw it as giving up on herself if she stayed in the marriage. Charles kissed Lucille and walked out. I hope Charles played the Campbell Brothers tour and have an awesome time doing so. As much as they argue, T really loves Big Brother Meech. T and the crew were anxious as they waited for Meech on the beach. Terry's nerves were so bad that he took Duffy's phone to call the same number that Duffy dialed. No results. T sat next to Francois and was encouraged that Meech is resourceful. Francois told T that the numbers on his arm is a reminder that he once had a family. Meech showed up, calm, cool, and collected, told everyone to gas up so they can get the F out of Miami. No longer little boys dreaming of South Beach, Meech and Terry stood at the ocean's edge, claiming the world as theirs. With only one episode left in season 3, there are so many avenues to take for the season's ending. Looks like most of the load will be on T. T will soon find out that Henry hid behind his dumpster and his restaurant and took out his number one guy, Hoop. While Hoop is laying there, Henry tells him to tell T that he is next. T's hands are full with Red Dogs' intimidation. The Red Dogs are not happy that they can't find any weight on Meech and Terry. They burst the tail light, tell the guys to get to walking because all the vehicles were going to be impounded. The Red Dogs had laughs about the situation, and when Meech questioned them, they told him to turn around and walk away. Meech and T walked away, wondering who tipped off the Red Dogs. In my opinion, it was the snake Remy. Meech's mind was on the work secured in the van, or was it? Terry was confident that they would not get to their weight. Meech was only looking at their hard work, and all that they had left is in those vehicles. Meech saw their dreams driving away from them. End of this episode, but not the end of Big Meech's hard work. Subscribe, like, and leave your comments. Thanks for your time, guys.